when the assessor asks you to stop on the side of the road, if that's the road, okay, so if you, for example, have a street on the right hand side, just an instance, and if you stopped too close to that intersection, okay, so what are the implications here? The implications here are, if there's a vehicle turning that way, okay, and that's a give way situation, for instance, okay, so this driver, I'm sure most of you will guess, this driver will naturally look that way because that's that direction. They're going to look for the cars from that direction, right? The big deal is if that driver commits to turn, realizing that there's no one from their right hand side, or they can beat somebody, you know, who was at a distance from them, so they have plenty of margin to go. But what about if at the same time another vehicle has committed to overtake this parked car there, which is your parked car? So if this car is traveling at 40 or 50 kilometers an hour, it's almost impossible for them to avoid each other in sort of this point here. So they may collide as a result of where you parked your vehicle. So the old rule suggests 20 meters away from any type of intersection or a bus stop. However, they changed that requirement in the recent years. They've changed it to 10 meters, okay? So in my opinion, 10 meters isn't adequate amount of space for the two independent vehicles to pass each other without interfering with each other's path. Let's use common sense here. At a reasonable distance, given the circumstances are allowing us to park at a reasonable distance from any type of intersection. Okay, so that street could be here, so you shouldn't park there. Even if you parked right there, if someone's overtaking you from there and someone's obviously trying to turn from there, same thing, you're going to potentially cause, you know, two independent drivers to collide as a result of where you parked. Blind bend is considered as an intersection. For example, the road goes that way. Okay, so if we park right there, okay, and someone's coming from there, then someone clearly must overtake that parked vehicle, you know, to get around them. At the same time, this one can get closer and they can collide right in the middle there. So even though the blind bend is not considered as an intersection, you need to make sure that you treat it as one. If you've got a bus stop here, okay, clearly everyone knows we shouldn't park within the reasonable distance too close to the bus stop. But what about if it's on this side here? Okay, so there's no bus stop on the left, but there's one on the right. Okay, and you happen to have parked car right there. Okay, so what are the potential implications here? So if this is a timed bus stop, which is one of those ones with a timetable, if you parked, if this is an everyday situation, and if you parked there, and someone wants to overtake, yeah, okay, if there's no bus, that's fine, they can do that. But what about if this bus driver has a timetable to adhere to, and if he didn't have any traffic on his way, and the bus driver arrived here 15 minutes earlier, they're going to sit there and wait, and there may not be enough space to overtake or pass between the two vehicles. The point is, in the driving assessment, they can terminate your test for parking near the bus stop. Just make it, make it at a reasonable distance from any bus stop or or any type of intersection or blind bend for that matter. So what's going to take place? Okay, so providing that you stopped, you know, in a reasonable sort of spot, the assessor will ask you to drive off and at some point to come back to that place, you know, choosing your own way, how to turn around at your first opportunity and come back. You're going to drive off, okay? Now, at some point, the assessor will say, okay, I'd like you to turn around at your first opportunity and come back to that place where we first parked. Okay, so it is important to indicate, because that's the only way of, you know, communicating with others. Now, you can use a driveway, and it's the easiest way to use a right-hand side driveway. Now, this driveway, providing that there's no street nearby, would be fine to go into the driveway, providing that you had your indicator for a certain amount of time, which, like I said, we're going to have a video on that, on those specifics. And you're going to go into the driveway, in reverse out, and you're going to go back. The best idea is to pass that spot where you parked, go into the driveway after that, reverse out, and then come back into the same spot where you parked initially. So there may be other options. Now, if there's no driveways and if there's a street or a roundabout, okay, so if that's the street and the assessor asks you around there, okay, I'd like you to go back to the house, you've left something behind. What you can do this, so you can almost overshoot this street, turn it in, providing no one's coming from opposite direction. If there is, wait for them. Make a U-turn. You've got to get a little bit deeper than for the real turn. So you will go and make a U-turn. Now, when you get into this point, you no longer have priority on this street. So you would have to give way to cars coming from there, and then you would proceed. Again, if there's a driveway behind, you can use that driveway, reverse out, and come back to where you stopped initially, wherever that was. Okay, so there could be other scenarios as well. So, if you didn't choose to do this particular street, if assessor asked you in this spot here, and that happens to be a roundabout, you can use a roundabout to make a U-turn and turn around. So you would basically use your indicators and get around and come back and where you initially started. So, you know, it's as simple as that. So, you know, the idea is that you will have to execute these things in a timely manner. You will have to do your indicators correctly, and your flow needs to be, you know, adequate, and also your movement and vehicle management and obviously everything that goes with it. We've got a 7 criteria points which are signaling flow, movement path, responsiveness, and vehicle management. So you will have to satisfy all of that in order to pass. So, you know, they've condensed quite a bit in this particular exercise, and that's why they can see a lot about your driving habits in literally 3 minutes or so, okay? Another important aspect of this particular exercise is that you shouldn't use the driveway that is too close to any type of intersection. For example, if there's an intersection and there's a driveway here, okay, happens to be a driveway there, and there's an intersection right there, and if you happen to use that driveway and there's a car turning that corner, clearly checking that direction, and if you've already got into the driveway, the driver that's turning commits to turn left and accelerates, and you would be reversing at the same time in their direction. So again, there's not a huge amount of margin there, so we recommend roughly around 20 meters, which is a couple of driveways. Often we get asked, okay, can we use the left-hand side driveways? Yes, we can. If there's a driveway on the left-hand side, it is slightly more complicated though, okay? So if you go forward into that driveway, you go in the driveway, you're going to have to end up on the far side of the road. So you have two directions to give way to. Okay, so you would have to go straight out a bit, and then you would start to turn almost near the center in order to end up facing that way parallel with that side. Okay, so it is slightly more difficult than using the right hand side driveway, but we do teach how to use it, you know, efficiently and properly. Now, other way of using the left hand side driveway would be basically just a reversing into it, you know, and in my opinion it's much easier. Okay, so you would basically overshoot the driveway and then you would reverse into it and you'd go back forward out. Always park at a reasonable distance from any type of intersection or a bus stop so that two or more independent drivers don't interfere with each other's path as a result of where you parked your vehicle. And if you're at a reasonable distance, the vehicle that was overtaking your parked car will have enough time to get back to the left-hand side, but also this driver here will have enough time to intercept any movement that's coming from the left, and they're going to have a lot more time to slow down and to allow this driver to go back in. What do you do if you realized that you stopped where you shouldn't be stopped? Okay, so this is a question that we get asked fairly often. Okay, so if you parked straight across to the bus stop bay, okay, so and you've realized you've made that mistake, you would say to the assessor, look, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that there's a bus stop, I'm just going to move a little bit further and just do it. So if you correct that error without too much of a delay, they probably wouldn't even mark you for, that you wouldn't even lose points. So make sure that you don't receive any verbal or physical assistance, because that would be, obviously considered as an intervention. This isn't really difficult, but you've got to have a basic understanding of why do they want you to do this. Well, they want you to do this because they've condensed a lot of things where they can judge you for 7 criteria points that are part of the driving assessment. Again, they are looking, signalling, flow, movement, path, responsiveness and vehicle management. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.